Hello everyone, it's Glenda and welcome back to my channel, Creative Grandma. I hope everyone is having a happy crochet or knitting day. Well, this video is part 3 of the French country Afghan. So in today's video, I'm going to show you how to take your blocks, join them together to create rows, and then how to join your rows together to create the Afghan. Then I'm going to show you how to put the final border around your Afghan. So let's go ahead, jump right in, and let's get started. So now all your blocks should be finished. You should have 6 blocks where you have the blue, dark blue petals here, and you should have 6 blocks where you have the yellow petals. Now, if you look at the 2 squares, you're going to notice that this one's a little flatter. This one I tacked down the bottoms of my stitches, so when you wash and dry this Afghan, your petals are going to stay down. Now, if you want more of a 3D effect, you do not have to tack down your petals. I just did it because I know that if I wash and dry this, then these petals are going to want to come up here. So you may not like that look if your petals just curl up like that. So you can hand press it down, but I just think it's better to tack them down so you know they're going to stay in place. But it's all up to you. So this is what it looks like after you tack it down. And then this is what it looks like if you don't tack it down. So it's your choice. So I'm going to show you how I tack mine down. So I'm just going to get this one out of the way. So what I do is I take a long length of yarn. You want to make sure it's long enough that you're going to start in one spot, tack this down, and you're going to work between this one. You're going to pull it up, tack it down, and then come over to the round one, tack it down, and then you're just going to work your way around the block. So you want to make sure it's long enough that you're not having to stop and start. You want to do it all in one piece. So I'm going to zoom up some more. So what I do is I'm going to start with this point here. I'm just going to come up from the bottom, roughly around where this is going to be. And what I do is I pull this up to where it's laying nice and flat. And then you want to just pull it up and you want to grab, I know this is dark blue, it might be harder to see. You want to just go through 1 or 2 stitches on the back because you don't want to see the white on the top of the petal. And then just pull it through those 2 loops. And then I put my yarn needle back down through. I skip a stitch so it doesn't pull that thread back through. And then I pull it down. And then the first one, I turn it over. Now I pull this down. I leave enough, a little bit longer length, so I can weave it in with my yarn needle. And then I tie a double knot. I'm a double knot tier. I always tie a double knot because when you put this much work into an Afghan, you do not want it to rip out. And then flip it back over and then just bring your yarn needle back up. And because it's white, it's going to blend in with the block. You're not going to see this strand of yarn because it's white. And if you keep your stitches on the bottom, you're not going to see the white on top. So then what I do is I use my fingers and I come over to this petal and you just want to kind of flatten it down and just keep your finger on the petal. And then you just want to weave this white yarn in and out down through the stitches and try to get it over to the center of that petal. Sorry if my hand was in the way. So I just weave it through. Now make sure you're not pulling it real tight. Make sure it's just nice and loose with the fabric itself. And then just kind of line it up with the center. And then you're going to do the same thing. You're going to flip this up and you want to grab like 2 stitches. So hopefully you can see what I'm doing. I'm grabbing 1 strand of yarn and I'm making sure it's on the bottom and I'm not poking up through the petal. And then pull through. And that's going to pull that down. And then what I like to do is I like to come back over and catch a strand of yarn over here and then pull it back and come back over and head towards the next petal. Now, I know this is a little time consuming, but it'll keep your Afghan looking nicer longer. It'll help hold this down. And especially when you're washing and drying it, you don't want these petals to curl up like this. It'll kind of like ruin the look of the blanket. And then you're just going to go to your next petal right here, the one with the little picot stitch. And I like to pull mine up a little bit. I like to stretch that out a little bit so you're getting the full effect of that petal. And then just hold your finger there and then just take your yarn needle and you're going to weave over towards the center of that picot stitch. Pull your yarn through, and then once you're kind of lined up, then you just want to go back on the back of that picot stitch and just grab 2 loops of yarn and then pull that through. And then again, it really helps if you go back and just grab another stitch over here. It just helps hold that down and then come back through. Whoops. So that one's attached, this one's tacked down just enough. You're still getting a little bit of a 3D effect, but it helps hold it down. And then you're just going to continue working your way around. Again, you're going to take this next petal, just use your finger and hold it down. Then take your yarn needle and work your yarn over towards the center of that next petal. Once you're at the center of the petal, pull your yarn through. And then line it up. And then come over, lift it up, and try to grab at least 2 strands of yarn, maybe 3, depending on how you want your petal to lay. Now I grabbed 3 on this one. I pull it down, but don't pull real tight, just enough that it lays flat. And then bring your yarn back over, catch any strand of yarn, and then just bring back through. And that's how I tack down my petals on my blocks. So go ahead and continue and get your petals tacked down on all 12 blocks. Again, I know it's a little time consuming, but you'll be so happy that you did. So I'm going to go ahead and finish tacking down the rest of my flower, and then I'll be back and I'll show you how to join your blocks together and in which order. To join our blocks together, we're going to do our Afghan in a checkerboard fashion. So row 1, you want to have a flower with the dark blue petals. The second block, you're going to have your yellow petals. And then the third block, you want your dark petals. And then the next row, we're just going to do the opposite of the yellow petals, the dark blue, and the yellow petals. And then we're just going to continue in that manner. Row 3 will have the dark blue, the yellow, the dark blue, and then the last row, row 4, will have the yellow, the blue, and then the yellow. So we're starting from the top down. So row 1, you want to have your blue flower, your yellow flower, and your dark blue flower. So I'm just going to move this one out of the way. So you want to have your blocks right side facing so your flowers are facing you. So what you want to do is you want to take your yellow block, the block on your right, and you're just going to flip it over on top of the other block. So your right sides are together, your wrong side is on the bottom, your wrong side is facing top, and again your right sides are together. You're going to put your hook down in the bottom right hand corner. I just stick my crochet hook in there, and then you want to spin it around because we're going to be working across this edge. When you put your crochet hook in there, it kind of helps guide you so you know where you're going to start. So I'm just going to take my crochet hook out now, and we're going up to the chain 2 space, the corner chain 2 space. So let me zoom up. So I already have my white attached to my hook, and I just used a double knot. We're going to be working through both thicknesses to join our blocks together. You want to insert your hook into the very first chain on the right hand side, and then you're going to match to the stitch below. So you want to go into the very same stitch, the first chain of the block below, and then you're going to slip stitch through that stitch and through the loop on your hook. You're going to chain one, and we're going to single crochet our blocks together. I'm going to insert back into that same chain space, match it up to the same chain space below, and work a single crochet. You're going to go into the next chain, match it to the chain below, insert into that chain, and then work a single crochet. So now what I do is when I crochet across the blocks and the stitches, I go in the front loop facing you in the top block. You just want to go under the front loop only, just one loop. And then on the matching stitch below, just look at your work. We're going into the matching stitch, but you want to go into the back loop of the bottom block and then work your single crochet stitch. So let's do that a couple more times together. Go to your next stitch, and you want to go into the front loop only. Make sure you're only going into the front loop, one loop, match it to the stitch below, and go into the back loop. This is the front, this is the back. You want to go into the back loop. Work your single crochet. Go to your next stitch, insert into the front loop only, just one loop, match it to the stitch below, and you're going into the back loop. Insert under the back loop, and then work your single crochet. Let's do it one more time. Go to your next stitch. You're going to insert into the front loop only, just one loop, match it to the stitch below, and go into the back loop. Work your single crochet. So go ahead and continue. Again, you're going to go into the front loop of the next stitch, match it to the back loop of the stitch below, and then work your single crochet. Repeat that across to your corner chain 2 space. I'll meet you there and show you how to finish going across your block. I'm over at my corner chain 2 space. I just worked my single crochet across matching stitches, and now you want to finish up by going into the 2 chain 2 spaces of the corner. Insert into that first chain of the corner, match it to the first chain in the block below, work your single crochet. And then go into the next chain of the corner, match it to the chain below, and work your single crochet. So we just joined our 2 blocks together, so now I'm going to fasten off. When I fasten off, I chain 2, 1, 2, pull my hook up, yarn out, grab, pinch, pull down, and it creates a secure knot. And then I just weave that in and out through my stitches. So now when you open up your blocks, you're going to see how it has that beautiful edging where when you're going in the front and back loop, it creates this ridge, but it just lets your blocks lay nice and flat. So that is what it's going to look like. So now you want to grab your blue block. So these 2 are joined together, they're right side facing. So now you just want to take your blue block, right side facing, and you're going to flip it over onto your yellow block. And then again, what I like to do is just put my hook right down through the corner, and then I spin it around to make it easier to crochet across that edge. And then you're just going to click back on the video, and then you just want to move your crochet hook up to that first chain, match it to the first chain below, and then single crochet across your blocks and join them together just as I showed you with the first and second block. So if you need additional help, just click back on the video and repeat what I showed you on how to join those blocks together. I'm going to go ahead and join my blocks together, and then I'll be back and show you the finished first row. So I just finished sewing my second row together where you have your 3 blocks. Now if you look at what's laying on my table, this is row 1 where you have your dark blue, your yellow, your dark blue. And then row 2, you're going to have your yellow, your dark blue, yellow. So you're doing it in a tic-tac-toe fashion. So you have 2 more rows to put together, and you're just going to repeat what we did for row 1 and row 2. So for row 3, it's going to be the same as row 1 with the dark blue, yellow, dark blue. And then for row 4, you're going to crochet your yellow, your dark blue, and your yellow blocks together. So it's going to look like this. So you're just repeating row 1 and row 2 again for row 3 and 4. So go ahead and sew your blocks together so they look exactly what they look like here. Again, row 3 is going to be the same as row 1, and row 4 will be the same as row 2. So go ahead and put the rest of your rows together, and then I'll be back and I'll show you how to join your rows together. So now, since all our rows are joined together, we're going to start joining our rows to each other. So we're going to begin with row 4. We're going to work from the bottom up. So row 4, you're going to have the yellow flower, the dark blue, and the yellow. Row 3, you're going to have the dark blue, the yellow, and the dark blue. So you're just going to take the top row, row 3, and you're going to fold it over on top of row 4. So you're going to have the right sides together, and then we're going to go over to the top right hand corner. So I'm going to zoom up again. This is row 4, this is row 3, and you're just going to fold row 3 over on top of row 4. You're going to come over to the corner chain 2 space, and we're working through both thicknesses. We're going to join them together. And we're going to work in the same method that we used to put our blocks together over to the joining seam. So I'm going to insert into that first chain of the corner, and then you're going to match it up with the first chain on the row below on that section. And then you're just going to yarn over and pull through those stitches and through the loop on your hook. And then I'm just going to take this piece of yarn and put it to the back. You're going to chain 1, and you're going to single crochet back into that same chain and match it to the chain below, work a single crochet, and you're working through both thicknesses. Now you're going to go to the next chain of the corner chain 2, insert your hook, match it to the next chain of the corner on the row below on that section, work a single crochet. And now we're going to be working in the stitches. You're going to go into the front loop, 1 loop only of the stitch facing you, and then you're going to match it to the stitch below, but you're going into the back loop on the section below, just through 1 loop, work a single crochet. And again, it's the same method that we used to put the blocks together. Insert into the front loop facing you of the next stitch, 1 loop only, match it to the stitch below and put it into the back loop, work your single crochet. Insert into the front loop of the next stitch, match it to the back loop of the next stitch below, work your single crochet. Insert into the front loop facing you. Again, you're going right through those top 2 loops, and you want 1 loop only, the front loop. Match it to the stitch below and go into the back loop. Work your single crochet. Continue across your first block until you get over to your joining section, and I'll meet you there. I'm over at my joining seam. We just single crocheted across the first block, going through both rows, row 4 and row 3. And now when you get over to your joining seam, you're going to see your joining seam stands up. And then you're going to have a strand of yarn here. You can see it. Here's the opening of your corner, and you're going to have 3 loops. You want to go under 2 of those 3 loops. And then you're going to match it to the section below. You're going to see 3 strands of yarn go under the second and third strand of yarn. This just helps keep it more solid when you grab that extra strand. Work a single crochet. You're going to skip the section where your stitches are standing up, and you're going to go over to the left hand side. You're going to see those 3 strands of yarn. Insert under the second and third strand, right between the second and third, and then match it to the strands below. You're going to see 1, 2, 3 strands go in between the second and third strand. Then work your single crochet. And then you're just going to start with your very first stitch, and you're going to go into the front loop of the next stitch, match it to the stitch below, and go into the back loop. Work your single crochet. Go to your next stitch, insert into the front loop facing you, 1 loop only, go to the matching stitch below, and go into the back loop. Work your single crochet. I'll show you one more time. Go to your next stitch, insert into the front loop facing you, match it to the stitch below, and go into the back loop. Work your single crochet. So go ahead and single crochet across your second block of your strip, and I'll meet you at the next joining seam. I just worked a single crochet across the center section of our row, that second block, and now I'm back over to the joining seam. So again, you're going to see 3 strands of yarn on the right hand side of your work, and you're going to go under the second and third strand, right between the second and third strand. Then go to your section below, and again, just look at your work, and you're going to see this section here. Now these two are pretty tight together, so let me just show you. There is 3 strands, and you just want to go between the second and third strand. Work your single crochet. You're going to skip the high part of the center of the joining seam, and you're going to come over to the left side, and again there's 3 strands of yarn here. You want to go between the second and third, and then go to your bottom section. You can see it very clearly, 1, 2, 3, insert between the second and third, and then work your single crochet. And then you're going to start all over again, single crocheting in each stitch across. So go to your next stitch, insert under the front loop, match it to the first stitch below of this next section, and insert into the back loop. Work a single crochet. Go to your next stitch, insert into the front loop, 1 loop only, and then match it to the stitch below and go into the back loop, 1 loop only, and then work your single crochet. Go to your next stitch, insert into the top front loop only, match it to the stitch below, and go into the back loop. Work your single crochet. Go to your next stitch, insert into the top front loop, 1 loop only, then match it to the stitch below and go into the back loop only. Work your single crochet. I'll show you one more time. Go to your next stitch, insert into the top front loop only, match it to the stitch below, and go into the back loop. Now make sure when you're looking at your work, if you're pulling on it, you already worked in this stitch. It doesn't look it, but your stitch is over here. So make sure you're going into the correct stitch. Insert into that back loop and work your single crochet. So go ahead and continue and work 1 single crochet in the manner that I showed you across to your ending corner chain 2, and then I'll show you how to finish putting your row together. I just worked across the last block of my row, and I'm over at the ending corner chain 2 space. To finish crocheting our rows together, you're going to insert into the first chain of the corner, match it to the first chain of the corner below, work your single crochet. Find the next chain 2 space of the corner, insert your hook, and then insert your hook into the second chain of the corner below, work your single crochet. So I am finished with the white. We are done crocheting these 2 rows together. So I'm going to fasten off. I chain 2, pull my hook up, yarn out, grab, pinch, pull down, and it creates a secure knot. So now you just want to weave your end in and out through your joining stitches right here. So let me open this up and show you how it looks. So when you open up your work, you're going to see how it lays nice and flat. Let me zoom in just a little bit so you can see that joining stitch. So when you look at your work, you can see how nice it lays when you join it by going into the front and back loop. It opens it up, creates that ridge, and just lets it lay nice and flat. So now row 4 is joined to row 3. So you're just going to pull your work down, and now you want to grab row 2, and row 2 you're going to have your yellow block on the end, your dark blue in the center, and your yellow on the end. Again, you're pulling your work down. So you're going to, again, have that checkerboard look, so make sure that you're not putting 2 of the same rows together. Make sure that they're opposites. You have your yellow up here, your dark blue, your yellow, your dark blue. So this is row 2, so you're going to take row 2 and you're just going to flip it over on row 3. Again, we're working from the bottom up. And you're going to have your right sides together. And then you're just going to click back on the video, start at the chain 2 space, and crochet row 2 to row 3. So I'm going to go ahead and join row 2 to row 3, and then I'll be back and show you how to join the last row to your work. So I just crocheted row 2 to row 3, and again we're working from the bottom up. So this is row 4, row 3, row 2, and now we're ready to join our last row together. I'm just going to pull this down. I'm going to put row 1 above it. And again, when you look at your work, you should have a dark blue, a yellow, and a dark blue. And then the work underneath is going to have the yellow, the dark blue, and the yellow. Again, we want everything to be opposite when you look. Blue, yellow, yellow, blue, blue, yellow. So again, you just want that checkerboard effect. So I'm going to take row 1 and we're going to flip it over on row 2. You're going to go back up to your right hand corner and you're just going to repeat what you did for the other rows and crochet your row together. So I'm going to go ahead, crochet row 1 to row 2, and then I'll be back and we'll start our border. So I have my 4 rows joined together. Now it's way too big to get the whole Afghan in the video. This is row 1, row 2, row 3, and row 4. So now since we have all our rows put together and our Afghan is joined together, we're now going to start the border. So we're going to be using our white for the border, so grab your white and let's begin round 1 of the border. I have my white already attached to my hook and I just used a double knot. We're going to begin, and you want to go up to the top right hand corner. So you should have a flower with the dark blue curved petals and the light blue on the outside. So I'm going to zoom up just a little bit more. We're going to join our yarn in the chain 2 space of the corner. Insert your hook into the chain 2 space, yarn over, pull through, and pull through the loop on your hook. We're going to begin and we're going to chain 1. Now the beginning chain 1 does not count as a stitch. We're going to work 1/2 double crochet back into the corner chain 2 space. We're going to chain 2 and then work 1 more 1/2 double crochet back into that corner chain 2 space. And now we're going to work 1/2 double crochet in each stitch across to our joining seam. Yarn over the hook, insert into the top of the next stitch, and you're going to make sure that you go under the top 2 loops, work a 1/2 double crochet. 1/2 double crochet into the next stitch, 1/2 double crochet into the next stitch, half double crochet into the next stitch. Continue and work 1 half double crochet in each stitch across until you come to your joining stitch, and I'll meet you there. I'm over at my first joining seam. I just worked 1 half double crochet in each stitch across. I worked in the last stitch, and then you're going to see the corner, your joining seam, and then the corner. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and work a half double crochet into the space on the right side of our joining stitch, yarn over, insert into that space, work a half double crochet. You're going to skip this joining seam, you can see it right in the center, and you want to go over to the next space on the left hand side of that joining seam. Work a half double crochet. And then you're just going to repeat what we just done. We're going to work 1 half double crochet into the next stitch, 1 half double crochet into the next stitch, and then you're going to continue and work 1 half double crochet in each stitch across to your next joining seam, and I'll meet you there. I'm over at my next joining seam. I worked 1 half double crochet across the next block. I worked in the last stitch, and then you're going to see the corner, the joining seam, and the corner of the next block. We're going to work a half double crochet into the space between that last stitch worked and your joining seam. Right in that space, work a half double crochet. You're going to skip this joining seam and work a half double crochet into the corner space on the left hand side of the joining seam into the next block. Then you're going to start and work 1 half double crochet in each stitch across to your corner chain 2 space. So go ahead and continue and work 1 half double crochet in each stitch across until you come to the corner chain 2 space, and I'll meet you there. I'm over at my next corner, so now we're going to repeat what we've done across the top around the remaining 3 sides. So if you need additional help, just click back on the video where I start in the corner, and you're going to work a half double crochet into the corner chain 2 space. You're going to chain 2 and then work another half double crochet into the corner. You're going to swing your work around, and now you're going to be working down the length of your afghan. You're going to work a half double crochet in each stitch across to your joining seam. So work 1 half double crochet across to your joining seam, and when you get to your joining seam, you're going to work a half double crochet in the space on the right hand side of the joining seam and a half double crochet onto the left hand side of the joining seam, and you're just going to repeat the pattern of 1 half double crochet in each stitch over to your next joining seam, half double crochet on each side of the joining seam, and continue down to the next corner. Again, if you need help, just click back on the video where I started in the beginning of round 1, where I started working the half double crochet, chain 2, half double crochet into the corner, and just repeat that around the remaining 3 sides. I'll meet you at the end of round 1. I'm over at the end of round 1. We worked 1 half double crochet in each stitch and in each space on each side of the joining seam, and you worked a half double crochet, a chain 2, and a half double crochet into the corner chain 2 space. So we end with a half double crochet into the last stitch, and we're going to join in the top of that beginning half double crochet stitch. You're going to skip the beginning chain 1, and you're going to come over to the first half double crochet, insert under the top 2 loops, yarn over, pull through that stitch, and pull through the loop on your hook. Round 1 is finished. Now we're ready to begin round 2. For round 2, we're going to chain 1. The beginning chain 1 does not count as a stitch. You're going to half double crochet back into that joining half double crochet stitch. And then you're going to be at your corner chain 2 space. You're going to work a half double crochet, chain 2, and then a half double crochet back into that same corner chain 2 space. Now we're going to work 1/2 double crochet in each stitch across to your next corner chain 2 space. So make sure you pull this stitch back and get into that first half double crochet stitch. Yarn over the hook, insert under the top 2 loops of that first half double crochet, work a half double crochet. Half double crochet into the next stitch, half double crochet into the next stitch, going under the top 2 loops, work your half double crochet. Half double crochet into the next stitch. Continue and work 1/2 double crochet in each stitch across until you get to your next corner chain 2 space, and I'll meet you there. I'm over at my next corner chain 2 space. I just worked 1/2 double crochet in each stitch across, and you should be at your corner chain 2 space. And now we're just going to repeat what we've done across the top. You're going to work a half double crochet into the corner chain 2 space. You're going to chain 2 and then work a half double crochet back into that same corner chain 2 space. Now we're going to work 1/2 double crochet in each stitch across until you come to your next corner chain 2 space. Half double crochet into the next stitch, half double crochet into the next stitch, half double crochet into the next stitch. Continue and work 1/2 double crochet in each stitch over to your next corner chain 2 space, and when you get to your corner chain 2 space, you're going to work a half double crochet, chain 2, half double crochet, and then repeat working 1/2 double crochet in each stitch to the next corner chain 2 space. Repeat that around your remaining 3 sides, and I'll meet you at the end of round 2. I'm over at the end of round 2 of our border. I just worked a half double crochet into the last stitch. You should have worked 1/2 double crochet in each stitch around and a half double crochet, chain 2, half double crochet in each corner chain 2 space. So now we're going to join. We're going to go up to the top of that beginning half double crochet, insert your hook under the top 2 loops, and then yarn over, pull through that stitch, and pull through the loop on your hook. We are done with our white, so we're going to fasten off. When I fasten off, I like to leave a longer length just for weaving in those ends. I chain 2, pull my hook up, yarn out, grab your yarn, pinch, pull down, and it creates a secure knot. And then you want to weave that end in over and back, and then even a 3rd time if your yarn length is long enough. It just really helps keep those ends weaved in. So now we're going to switch to our light blue. So grab your light blue and let's begin round 3. Now we're ready to begin round 3 of our border. We're going over to the top right hand corner chain 2 space. You're going to insert your hook into the corner chain 2 space and join with a slip stitch through that space and through the loop on your hook. Then I just pull this to the back of my work. We're going to chain 1, and the beginning chain 1 does not count as a stitch. I'm going to move that over. I'm going to work a single crochet into that chain 2 space, chain 1, single crochet back into that same space, chain 1, move your stitches over, single crochet back into that corner chain 2 space, chain 1, and then single crochet back into the corner chain 2 space. So when you look at your work, you have your beginning chain 1, which does not count as a stitch, and then you have a single crochet, chain 1, 3 times because you want 3 chain 1 spaces, and then you end with that 4th single crochet. So now we're going to skip the first 2 stitches. So this last stitch may cover up this first stitch, so make sure you skip 1, 2 stitches. You're going to chain 1 and you're going to single crochet into the next stitch, which is the 3rd stitch from the corner. So again, you skip 2, chain 1, single crocheted in the next. So now we're going to begin our repeat. You're going to chain 1, you're going to skip the next stitch and single crochet into the next stitch. Chain 1, skip the next stitch, single crochet into the next stitch. Let's do it again. Chain 1, skip the next stitch, single crochet into the next stitch. So go ahead and continue. You're going to chain 1, skip the next stitch, and single crochet into the next stitch. You're going to repeat that across until you get to your next corner, and I'll meet you there. I'm over at my next corner. You should have 1 stitch remaining. So to end this side of the afghan, you're going to chain 1 and you're going to skip that last stitch across. You're going to single crochet into the corner chain 2 space, and then we're going to repeat what we did when we started. You're going to chain 1, single crochet back into that same space, chain 1, single crochet back into that same space, and then chain 1 and single crochet back into that same corner chain 2 space. So you have a total of 4 single crochet and 3 chain 1 spaces. You're going to chain 1, you're going to skip the first 2 stitches, 1, 2, and this is the only place you're skipping 2 stitches is after you make your corner. Skip 1, 2, insert into the next stitch, work a single crochet. Then you're going to start your repeat. Chain 1, skip the next stitch, single crochet into the next stitch. Chain 1, skip the next stitch, and single crochet into the next stitch. Chain 1, skip the next stitch, single crochet into the next stitch. So go ahead and continue. You're going to chain 1, skip the next stitch, single crochet into the next stitch, and you're going to continue down the length until you get to the next corner, and I'll meet you there. I'm over at my next corner of round 3 of the border. We have 1 stitch remaining, and we're going to chain 1, skip that next stitch, and then we're going to start our repeat for the other 2 sides in this corner. So to work your other 2 sides, you're going to single crochet into the corner chain 2 space, chain 1, single crochet back into that corner chain 2 space, chain 1, single crochet back into the corner chain 2 space, chain 1, and then work 1 more single crochet into that corner. So again, you're going to have 4 single crochet with a chain 1 space in between for a total of 3 chain 1 spaces. Then you're going to chain 1, skip the next 2 stitches, single crochet into the next stitch. And then you're just going to start the repeat of chain 1, skip a stitch, single crochet into the next stitch, chain 1, skip a stitch, single crochet into the next stitch. And then you're just going to repeat the chain 1, skip a stitch, single crochet into the next stitch until you get to within 1 stitch of the corner, and then you start your repeat all over again. So go ahead and work around the remaining 2 sides, and I'll meet you at the end of round 3. I'm over at the end of round 3. I just worked my repeat around the remaining 2 sides. You're going to end with 1 stitch remaining, and you're going to chain 1, skip that last stitch, and then we're going to join in the top of the beginning single crochet. Our beginning chain 1 did not count as a stitch, so you want to come over to the first single crochet, insert under the top 2 loops, slip stitch through that stitch and through the loop on your hook. So we are done with our light blue, so I'm just going to fasten off, and remember, it helps to have a little bit longer length so you can weave in those ends. I chain 2, pull my hook up, yarn out, grab, pinch, pull down, and it creates a secure knot. So I'm going to let my ends hang and I'll weave them in. We have 1 more round to go on the border. So the next color we're going to use is the dark blue or the royal blue. Now I already have my royal blue attached to my hook and I just used a double knot. You can join your yarn in whichever way you prefer. I'm going to go up to my corner, And you can start in any chain one space. I'm just going to start at my corner. We're going to skip this first single crochet, and you're going to insert between the first and second single crochet of the corner in the chain one space. You're going to slip stitch through that space and through the loop on your hook. We're going to chain 3. 1, 2, and 3. Our beginning chain 3 will count as the first double crochet. We're going to work one more double crochet back into the chain 1 space, and then we're going to work a picot stitch. We're going to chain 3. You're going to bring your hook around to the front of your work, and I know the dark blue is a little bit harder to see. You're going to insert from top to bottom down through the front loop, and then right into the loop directly below on the side, insert your hook, and then slip stitch through all 3 loops on your hook. Your picot stitch is made. So now we're going to start our repeat. Now in the corner, the chain 1 spaces are really close together, so you have to separate those stitches to see your chain 1 space. You're going to work 2 double crochet into that next chain 1 space. 1 and 2. And then you're going to make your picot stitch. Chain 3, 1, 2, and 3. Bring your hook around to the front of your work, insert from top to bottom through the top front loop, and then directly below into that side loop, and then yarn over and pull through all 3 loops on your hook. Your picot stitch is made, and that is the end of the repeat. So what we're doing is we're working 2 double crochet and a picot stitch in each chain 1 space around. Let's do it again. Again, in the corner, you're going to have to pull those stitches apart to see that chain 1 space. You're going to work 2 double crochet into the next chain 1 space. 1 and 2. You're going to make your picot stitch, chain 3. Bring your hook around to the front of your work, insert from top to bottom, and then directly below into the loop beside. Yarn over and pull through all 3 loops on your hook. Your picot stitch is made. So now once your corner is made, you're going to see it's very easy to see your chain 1 spaces. So now we're going to do the repeat again. You're going to work 2 double crochet into the next chain 1 space. 1 and 2. You're going to work your picot stitch, chain 3. Bring your hook to the front of your work, insert from top to bottom through the front loop, and then directly below on the side into that loop. You have 3 loops, yarn over and pull through all 3 loops on your hook. And you can see how your pattern is forming. I'll show you one more time. Find your next chain 1 space, work 2 double crochet into that chain 1 space. 1 and 2. Then you're going to work your picot stitch. Chain 3. Bring your hook to the front of your work, insert from top to bottom through the front loop, and then the loop directly below on the side. You have 3 loops, yarn over and pull through all 3 loops on your hook. Your picot stitch is made, and that's all there is to the repeat. So go ahead and continue, work 2 double crochet and a picot stitch in each chain 1 space around, and I'll meet you at the end of round 4. I'm over at the end of round 4 of our border. We just worked 2 double crochet and a picot stitch in each chain 1 space around, and now we're back over to our beginning chain 3. So now we're going to join in the top of our beginning chain 3, count up 1, 2, 3, insert your hook into the top of that beginning chain 3, slip stitch through that chain and through the loop on your hook. So now we are finished with our royal blue, so I'm just going to fasten off, and I like to leave a little bit longer length for weaving in. I chain 2, pull my hook up, yarn out, grab, pinch, pull down and it creates a secure knot. So I'm going to go ahead, weave in my ends, and I'll be right back and show you our finished Afghan. So our Afghan is finished. This is what the final Afghan looks like. Your Afghan should measure somewhere around 41 by 55 inches, depending on whether you added more blocks and made it larger. So all kinds of possibilities with this Afghan. I hope you enjoyed crocheting along with me to make the French country Afghan. If you enjoy these type of videos, please make sure you like the video. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any of the crochet fun here on Creative Grandma's channel. So until next time, stay inspired and happy crocheting.